Welcome to UWS Weekly, a show that is dedicated to covering United Women's Soccer, a national pro-am league with your host, Jonathan Ward. Each and every week, we will highlight players, supporters, and staff of the clubs we all pride ourselves to support in North America. The UWS is a league that is committed to advancing women's soccer. Good evening, soccer fans, and welcome to the UWS studio and to UWS Weekly, a show fueled by Rain Body Fuel and dedicated to the best women's pro-am league in the world. The league news this week, the 2021 season kicks off this weekend, and we're going to have a kickoff show to get you ready for the 3 games that are coming at you, with 1 game on Saturday and 2 more matches on Sunday out of the Midwest Conference. Join me, Megan, Harry, and Danny this Saturday at 6 a.m. Pacific as we look at the games and talk about the upcoming season in the UWS and the UWS 2. This weekend, we have Midwest United hosting Lansing United on Saturday. And on Sunday, as the games go, Chicago Kicks travels to Lady Steel FC and Corktown AFC hosts the Muskegon Risers. It should be a fun show with interviews and insight from the UWS community. UWS Soccer announced this week that it will extend its partnership with Passage, a cutting-edge ticketing and payment engine. Passage has been with the official ticketing partner of the UWS since 2019. The partnership will provide all UWS teams with access to a custom online ticketing portal available to the clubs. We're thrilled to be working with the UWS, said Alex Linebrink, CEO of Passage. Our goal is to help the entire league evolve to the next level by eliminating some of the headaches that come with managing a growing soccer league, like tracking sales, managing inventory, and reaching more members of the community. Tonight, I'm excited to be joined by Candice Fabry and Wendy Louque of the KC Courage FC for today's show. Good evening to both of you. Thank you for joining me. Candice, Wendy, how is it going?
Going well. We had tryouts the other day, and so the energy's flowing and excited for the season to start.
Yeah, we come into practice this week and excited to get started. I'd like to give a shout out real quick to my granddaughter, Millie, who's getting her bath right now and watching me.
Hey, 2 for 1, right? 2 for 1.
Yeah.
So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got started in the game that we all love. And Candice, we'll start with you.
All right. Well, I was a naughty little 5-year-old and apparently got in enough trouble that I was signed up for ballet. And was then told I wasn't going to do ballet as apparently a part of some punishment in some way. And the parents felt bad that I wasn't doing anything. And so they went to the local Parks and Rec. And the only thing available was soccer. And they had no idea really about the sport too much. And so they put me in it. And I didn't touch the ball the entire first season. Apparently, it rolled and hit me. That was the only time. And then the season after, I was the only girl on an all-boys team, and it just clicked. And from there, it's really never ended. So I grew up in that was in Kentucky, but shortly after, I ended up moving to Chicago. And so I played in the suburbs for my youth career, and then played at the University of Toledo in Ohio, and then went straight into coaching. So yeah, it's been pretty much a lifelong passion for me.
You're still in coaching, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Wendy, what about you?
I grew up just outside of New Orleans, and it was in the late 70s when Title IX was ushered in and was part of the first high school soccer team at my high school. When I was a freshman, it became a varsity sport. And, at that time, you got your civics coach or your football coach to coach who knew absolutely nothing about soccer. Did a little bit of reffing, coached my first boys team when I was 15. They were 5 years old. And I guess that sowed a seed somewhere deep inside that, I just loved seeing them compete and loved being able to teach them. And many years passed, and 2 kids later, I got my first college job and just loved it.
So, Wendy, I have to ask, you've been involved in the game for almost 35 years. How has it changed the game of soccer, and how are you able to continue to grow and evolve with the sport with so much change happening?
Well, I'd say the biggest change is just the paid coaching. When I was younger, in the early 80s, I was part of 4 Louisiana State Cup teams that went to Southern Regionals every summer and, would go there and would get spanked by the Texas teams. I think the Dallas Sting back then was one of the first clubs that had paid coaching. So, that's one of the big differences. And I guess on the negative side, it's become such a money grab. Everything costs so much money, and it really, I think, alienates a lot of youth that don't have the means to participate when there's just so much. They're nickel and dime for everything, and it really discriminates. So that's one of the negative things I think that's changed since I was younger.
Candice, this will be your first year with the Courage alongside Wendy. What convinced you to join this project and become part of the Kansas City Courage?
It didn't take a lot. I'll be really honest. I met Wendy approximately almost 2 years ago at this point, or maybe a little over a year ago.
February of 19.
Yeah, that's right. Because I had moved into Kansas City in November of 2018. So I haven't been here that long. My husband and I moved down from Des Moines, Iowa. So we weren't that far away, but definitely had heard of the Courage and had known about it, but didn't really know who was involved. Just knew there was, a women's team in the area. So I'd met Wendy at a coaching course / a women's advocacy discussion, and just was there to meet people and get to know the community of female coaches in Kansas City, and felt fortunate to have the conversation with her about who I was and what I was doing and what I was all about. And it wasn't too long. She was like, "Do you want to help the Courage?" And so unfortunately that was leading into the pandemic. And so I was like, well, let's just see what's on the docket for next year. But, for me, the sense of female empowerment, the belief of trying to do this for as many players as possible, quality players, but trying to find a way that we provide a really good opportunity over the summer for these women has been key. And it didn't take much. I knew what Wendy, from her heart and soul, just talking to her about what she believes when it comes to the game and how we can create a really good environment. So I was along for the ride saying, how can I help? So all good.
So Wendy, you are a pioneer in soccer, obviously, in your time frame and understanding and seeing the growth of the game. But in 2011, you were the first female and junior college coach to receive some important honors. First off, what were those honors, and what was that feeling like to receive those awards?
The first one was the Regional Assistant College Coach of the Year. And in winning that, I was up for, this was a United Soccer Coaches. Well, back then they were the NSCAA, which is a great organization, by the way. If any coaches are out there listening, you should join. And so in winning that, I was up for the national award. And the award ceremony is held at the convention every year, and I attended with my dad. And before the announcement, I was looking to see. I thought, oh, this is great. I wonder what other women have won, and there weren't any. So in winning it, it was a great feeling, but it was also the realization that, gee, you know what? There needs to be more women coaching. There needs to be better pathways so that more women, can be honored like this. It really was the first time that I had been honored like that. And, I'll go on record right now. I mean, even our league, we need more women coaches. The WPSL needs more women coaches. The NWSL needs more women coaches. We all need more women coaches. Women need women. There's something to be said for that.
So Candice, aside from being a coach, you also are the owner of a up-and-coming company, Fearless and Capable. Tell me about this opportunity that you've created to help other women and people in your community.
Yeah, at the core, it's a mentorship program for women in sport that want to be coaches, referees, administrators, and looking at the environment that I was coming into as a new coach at the age of 21. And honestly, I had started coaching kind of similar to Wendy at like 14, 15. I was coaching little kids teams. And so coaching I knew it was in my blood. I knew I wanted to do it. But I know when I started, I was like, no one looks like me. me and no one sounds like me. And if I have any issues, what if I want to be a mom? And, it was hard. And so, looking at the network that I have built through being a coach, through being a state administrator, through, just the random soccer world that we kind of find each other collectively in. I had started an Iowa Women in Soccer Alliance when I lived there and found it really beneficial to bring women into the same space and share stories and share commonalities and help others with that pathway that Wendy was just talking about. And so at the core of Fearless and Capable, it is about developing women with a mindset and skill set to achieve and to make an impact in this game. And, we have fantastic mentors like Wendy herself and a number of women across the game, across this country, who are taking time to be mentors. And the mentees are just as fantastic. Some young, some not so young women that are re-entering the game. And I think that's really important, is that we provide a portal or a way that women who left for reasons that may be of their choice or not have a space to come back into and be supported. And so this mentorship gives structure with workshop events and small groups and has one-on-one, and then some self-paced curriculum to help them define themselves and how do they want to be fearless and capable. Because for me, it's at the core of everything that I've had to, one, believe about myself, and two, get others to believe in themselves my words are killing me right now, in order to achieve, because that's, as Wendy was kind of pointing out, when you're kind of one of the first, I wasn't as lucky or as fortunate as Wendy with some of the awards that she's gotten and well-deserved. But I know I was one of the first female coaches to be coaching youth boys in Iowa. And I was getting looks of kind of, what are you doing here? And felt like, why wouldn't I be here? And trying to find other females that had coached young boys, and how do you what things should I know, and what do I do? And so I think that part for me is this mission to stop the conversation of how do we get more women in and create a structure that actually attracts more women in. That's really, really what I want to do. Attract them, retain them to the profession, and then promote them. Get them in leadership positions at the end.
I would say, and I would follow that, Candice, that, if there's any male coaches out there listening, especially directors of coaching, if you've got women in your club, they need a support system, and it's not necessarily going to be you or, her peers. She really needs. Fearless and Capable is just, it's an opportunity. It's a platform that's not been done before. And I'll tell you what, it's fantastic.
And it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get bigger. And two of the first, but definitely not two of the last. We'll say that.
Yeah.
We were able to build a program that helps generate some momentum and growth of women coaches in our game, because we do need them more than ever now. Yeah. Wendy, in 2019, you were honored by Sporting KC and named an MVP for the MLS Works Community Program. What were you doing, and is that still an effort that you're a part of?
I have a player on my team. She's a Kansas City, Missouri police officer, and she runs a nonprofit called Youth Rise. And for a couple years, I was helping her as both coach, mentor, driver, anything that I could do to help her and come alongside her to support her in that effort. It's about using soccer to help at-risk youth in Kansas City. And so was working with her for a little bit. Also, I'm involved with a nonprofit in Olathe. It's a faith-based ministry, and that year we were able to provide some free soccer clinics that summer. So anything that's not the money grab, like I referenced before, like I'm in. If it's about giving back to the community, that's where my heart is, and that's where I want to be involved. So those are two of the main things that I was doing at that time. When the pandemic hit, I really had to pull back. My husband has some health issues, and I have my youngest has also some health issues. So I've got two people in my household that are definitely high risk for the coronavirus. And I really needed to limit my exposure. I needed to, make a decision based on putting my family first. So I haven't done as much, but my heart and desire is still there.
Hopefully once we get all this straightened out, you're able to get back and help out, because it sounds like it's something that you want to be able to do, and potentially you're helping your community even more than you think.
Yeah.
Candice, in the past year, obviously 2 years, a lot has changed in our communities. What have you learned about yourself in that time with everything that has happened? Postponements of seasons, leagues, games, opportunities.
The importance of family. I know I've heard that from many coaches. We had this opportunity that we haven't had kind of granted to us, which allowed us to stay home, allowed us to be with our kids or our significant others. And so that time had to be cherished. I will be really honest. I struggled with that at the beginning. It was almost too much time where I think I'm a better mom. I'm a better partner. I'm a better friend when I am involved in doing things. And so suddenly this slowdown moment, I struggled. I'm not going to lie about it. And so it took a little bit for me to think about the impact that I could make on my family, and trying to figure out the mom that I do want to be at the end of the day, because I got to slow down. I got to be a part of everything. I am not meant to be a homeschool mom. That was confirmed through a lot of it. But we also got to, play Monopoly full out. We got to do all the things that we say we hope we wanted to do. And so we got to do that. And then, the other thing I got to do was talk to women and talk to men. I'm not going to isolate it. I got to talk to people about their experiences, these things that we all say, hey, let's connect on that later. We had the time to connect. And so there were some fantastic conversations that I got to be a part of on how do we make this better when we come back? How do we make it better for players? How do we make it better for staff? How do we make it better for volunteers? And, from my side, it was this, I'm not that old. I'm still young in some ways, but I have been doing this for about 15 years now. And I could wait another 15 years to figure out some different ways to do this and make impacts. Or I can say I've kind of seen enough at this point to go, we can't do it like this that much longer and expect for people to want to take a coaching pathway, to want to take an administrative pathway, to want to invest in women's soccer. We've got an opportunity here. Let's take advantage of the time to kind of sit and recalibrate and be creative and come up with something new. And that's where, honestly, my space came into with Fearless and Capable of saying, I've got the time to sit and really do this brainstorming that has been this little thing in the back of my head that I keep thinking about, and how could I do it? And how could I do it? And so I think for myself, first and foremost, I believed in a time when I went from not believing anything to I could believe in a lot, because the clarity just kind of came with some time that I think we all needed. I know I saw my husband more than I've ever seen him in our entire marriage. And we're finally getting back to the normal, like, okay, I'll see you at Friday night because we're coaching all weekend, and then I'll maybe see you Monday morning for breakfast. But, and we're kind of welcoming that back a little bit. But at the same time, it's kind of hard because I'll be honest, we're making sure Sunday afternoon happens for Mother's Day and making sure we had the time because we knew how great it was last year with that time. So yeah, it's been an interesting roller coaster. That's for sure.
Wendy, what made you think of creating the Courage, and what is the mission of the club?
Well, the Courage was formed out of the, I don't know, what's the word? So there was a team before mine that I coached, and that team folded. So it was formed when that team folded and left the WPSL. I just knew that we needed to continue. There needed to be this opportunity for women to play during the summer, for college players to come back. And our mission, I mean, it's pretty simple. You know what? We use soccer as a vehicle to improve character, in girls and women. That's what it's about. It's not about the records, the scoreboards, anything like that. We've, at the end of the day, if we've helped some young women be more confident, improve their self-esteem, those are the things that make us successful.
So you two have kind of been working together on building this new version of Courage with the COVID break and all. In the year off, what have you experienced and been able to reflect on and improve for the club?
You want to take that one, Wendy, or you want to either way?
Well, I think this summer there's a couple things that are new. Holistic is kind of a word that gets thrown around, but that's really what we're offering this summer. We've got some partners that are coming in. We've got a psychologist that's going to come work with our team, a sports psychologist, and I think that's pretty important, especially since COVID hit. You read about so many mental health issues and athletes, college students just struggling, with that. So that's going to be a big component of, having kind of a performance coach, mental performance coach in that way. So I love that piece that's come together this summer. And, Candice was a big part of that in bringing that in. And we've got Jason Bells with Greater U. He's a sports, what do you call it? Performance coach. Yeah, I don't know what they're called, but he's amazing. He's already been working with several of our players, and he's going to come in, and that's an additional component that I really haven't had. It's been missing since the beginning. I just, for one reason or the other, it's just not been there. I'm pretty particular about who I work with and who comes in to work with our ladies, and he's great. I had one meeting with him and I was sold. He's wonderful. There's a lot of guys out there, that talk about championing women, and their actions just don't back up their words, and his do. And we've had some men work with our club before, and they've all been great. Their actions match their words when it comes to empowering women. So Jason fits right into that mold with us. Anything else, Candice, I'm missing?
No, I just think it's supporting some of the unique needs of some of the women that we have, and, understanding physically where they're at, mentally where they're at. Some may be just graduated, some are in the middle of their college careers, some are entering it, and, some are even moms and trying to figure it all out. And so I think, for us, it's this, definitely want the trainings to be worthwhile and intense and competitive, and see them develop their soccer abilities within that. But, there's a lot else that goes into this game, and having people that understand some of the unique needs that sometimes these women face, I think, is huge. And Wendy's done a great job bringing this all together, and, excited for some of the pieces to kind of start coming into place for the next few weeks for the players, and heck, even for Wendy and I to better understand our players. I think that's a huge piece in such a short season, really, at the end of the day.
I think the sports psychologist piece is the most important part. You just don't realize what our players are going through mentally, physically, emotionally during this time, especially during parts of the year where things get rough and times get tough, whether it's home or being away from home, or maybe just something that happened. So having that piece, that entity in and of itself is huge. So I congratulate you for figuring that piece and getting somebody on board to help the girls and the ladies of the team take it a step further. So that's huge in and of itself. So thank you.
I'll give a shout out. It's Dr. Robin with the Elite Performance Counseling. So you can find her on social media, but I call her Dr. Robin. So
yeah, she's got the website Elite Performance Counseling, or
yeah,
it's all. You check out our website. There's a link on there. Yeah, but you know what? Back to what you said, Jonathan, about the mental component. And I'll just give you a real quick example. We do a high school alternative in the spring, and just this spring, I had 2 different players come to me that within the last year had been sexually assaulted. And these are things, one, I'm thinking, I'm so grateful that I have created a safe space that, a young woman has come to me with this, because I'm thinking, if I were a man, would that be the same case? I don't know. But, but also, what a tremendous load to have to carry on top of everything, on top of online schooling or, different kind of graduations or whatever, this is one other thing that these young women, have to put in their pocket and deal with. And it just sucks. It does, so if I can create a safe space within soccer, within a training environment where we can talk about life things, you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Honestly, soccer can come and go, winning come and go, trophies fade, whatever. Pieces go back in the box when you're done playing, but relationships and things like that's the most important thing to me.
And that's what creates our communities, right? I mean, when people can trust in us and you create those relationships, it really ventures off. I have a player who I've lost twice this year to 5150s because they don't have access to sports psychologists through our clubs or through our schools. And it hurts. It bothers me to see that this young girl has so much left in life, yet there's so many things that are going on as it relates to COVID, creating these unexpected environments and taking away opportunity and what it means to be a person. So I totally want to say thank you for that, because that you'll notice that goes a long way. This being your first season of UWS, how easy of a choice was it to join the league after so much time in another?
I was kind of dreading this question.
Well, you can skip it if you'd like.
You know what? It was a no-brainer for me. I mean, first of all, it was a financial decision strictly, because I consider myself, I'm not funded by a big youth club. I have a few sponsors. I'm a pretty small operation. And when I didn't get my league fees back in 2020, that was a big hit, to my pocketbook. And I took it personally. You know what? I put a lot into this myself. My players do. And, Stephanie Cleaves, the executive director of the UWS, she and I go back. She's actually a former player of mine. And so when that all kind of went down, you know what? She was the first phone call that I made. Basically, I'm just calling her to complain. But then, I'm really looking at what would it take to make a change. I really, that was the thing that I wanted to do. So after, it just made sense financially, because I mean, last year they were, I don't know, I think they were the only league that gave their refunded league fees, the only league, I mean, that to me, that just says a lot, so and at the end of last summer, everything was still kind of up in the air with COVID, and everything was just so uncertain about, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a vaccine? Are we going to play next summer? What's the deal? Colleges were canceling their seasons. And I was like, I mean, I don't have money to throw away. So I was just, it just made sense for me to do it. But I'm so glad I did, because the UWS they've been so professional. Communication is one of I don't know what to say about that, but I felt cared for as an owner. I felt like my voice was heard as a woman. Those were one of the, two of the main things, but also the financial transparency of the league. To me, that was huge. If all of these teams are paying all of this money to get in, we should know where it's going, and it should be going to the right areas. So it just, from top to bottom, it just made sense. And I'm so glad. I can't wait to play. Everything's been so professional so far. So I'm pleased with that.
So Candice, being the associate head coach, what type of players are you looking to bring into the club this season and get in the fold as we get closer to kickoff? I'm so excited for kickoff. It's 2 weeks away, 2 weeks.
Yeah, May 22nd is our first. And so, I mean, For me, I want players that want to compete. I think that's, at this level, at this juncture of where we're at, and one, you didn't get to compete last year, so come on, like, tell me it's not bottling up and ready to just, spew out onto the field. So that hasn't been difficult, but definitely, I want players that are problem solvers. I'm huge on people that can come in and women that can come in and work collaboratively, but also show their uniqueness on the field. And so what you are best at, I expect to see every training and every game. Own what you are known for and bring that. And I think that empowerment, one, has to be a part of every session and part of every game. And so that is definitely what we're asking of these women when they come in is show me. Don't worry about the stuff that you screw up at. We can fix some of that. We can talk about it. I want to know, because I'm writing down what I'm going to hang my hat on, saying that's what that player can do. So the competitiveness, the uniqueness, but they're willing to come in and collaborate and have problem solving. That's a huge piece to me in the game. And I think that's what makes the game so much fun, is to be a part of that, but be known for the best person in the air, for being the best tackler, for being the one that creates. We all kind of went when Rose Lavelle hit that national stage, but I had seen Rose as a young player, and I was like, there is something there that makes her uniqueness stand out, and we've got to empower that. And I think that carries on so much further. If we can put that into the field, these young women are going to be taking that into life, into some careers, and maybe hopefully coaching as well, to bring out their personalities. And so that's what I want to see. And that's what we're bringing in. And there's some really cool ones coming that I'm excited to get together and put them on the field.
And we've got a big pool of returning post-college players also. I think there's maybe 15 or 16 coming back, but that pool in the city is bigger than that. That number's larger. But it's, that goes back to our core values of and our mission of just empowering women, and they're great mentors. Many of them are coaches themselves, and they're just able to, come alongside the younger women and guide them, support them, love on them. And it's just a feel good all around. No mean girls are part of our group. That's for sure.
And it's crazy to think Rose Lavelle is still growing, right? She hasn't even hit her true potential, it seems like, and there's just so much more growth. Hopefully she continues on at Man City and can continue to grow as a player, because look out, world, she's the Messi of women's soccer, in my opinion.
Let's stay healthy.
Keep those ankles and hammies, keep those hammies loose, right? So Central Conference, we've got Gretna, we've got the Courage, we've got Wichita, we've got Scott Gallagher, the demise of Springfield. How excited are you heading into this season of Central Conference UWS play?
Well, there's two teams that we're very familiar with, from playing in the WPSL last year that are competitive. Looking forward to Scott Gallagher is a new club. Well, actually there's three. I mean, Wichita they were part of our conference a couple years ago. With the WPSL. So, there's some familiarity, which is good. But there's also this newness, that we're talking about after being off for so long. And it's, it's a summer league. You don't know what you're going to get sometimes, or just because someone was good last year. I mean, it could be, quote, building year, whatever, however you want to call it. But it'll be pretty competitive. I'm certain of that, just knowing the clubs and the quality of players that have been there before.
Yeah,
Jake, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just ready. Let's bring it. That's where I'm at right now, because I'm the new one, but I know some others are new, and I know some of the old faces, and so I'm ready to win and say hello as I win and walk off the field. That's where I'm at. But it's all in good fun and good, healthy competition. But yeah, it's a good conference, so it's a good stepping stone for sure.
I can't wait to have Candice on the kickoff show on May 22nd for your first game and see you run through that wall, or me run through this wall behind me, because you've got me put up. So Jake out of Houston, Texas, he's a big Dynamo or Houston Dash and soccer supporter overall. He wants to know what you're looking forward to achieving this season. And I ask, how do you measure success as a club this season?
Well,
I mean, results are results, and I don't think Wendy and I are in any way not wanting the results. And so for me, more wins than losses at the end of the day is absolutely the hope. First and foremost, I hope we keep the players healthy. I hope they get through the season, as many of them as possible, developing, either maintaining or excelling in whatever areas they're needing. Maybe it's more mental at the end of the day than it's physical, and we hope that we can bring those areas to them. But keeping them healthy, and then, adding something to their game, because for each of them, there's a why for what their participation is this summer. And getting to that why, I think, is crucial as a coach to understand and kind of measure the success of the team. Yes, comes in the wins and loss record. We're not going to deny that. And yes, on May 22nd, it's going to be like the little shaking of me going, let's go, let's get this thing going. But at the same time, for me, coming in brand new and seeing what Wendy's done with the group and wanting to have that impact and build off of it, not take it in a different direction, build off of it with women that feel like they have a space that's safe, that space that's invested in them, and a space that they can impact and do something with, whether it's on the field, whether it's being on the bench, whether it's in training, whether it's just being a mentor to some of the younger players, or as a young player looking and saying, I can do that. Like, I can keep playing for as long as I want. I think is something that I'm going to be measuring success when it comes into July, from my point of view.
I would agree with that as well, Candice. You'll never hear anyone from our staff, screaming or berating a player on the field. That's just not who we are. I think we pride ourselves in positive coaching. And we also have to do our due diligence, because there's some stewardship, I think, involved in having college players within our program, because they need to go back in the fall better. If they're not better, if they haven't learned anything, if they haven't improved their game, we've done them a huge disservice. So that's one thing that I really put in my back pocket, and when we do player evaluations, we can do them weekly. We want to be able to improve the player holistically, on all levels, whether both mental, physical, like Candice said, keeping them healthy, especially them going back into their college season in the fall. They've got to be better. They will be better.
Some of the clubs in the UWS have a youth club or a youth affiliate or a UWS 2 side. How do you recruit your players as an independently run organization?
Well, we do a pretty good job of reaching out to the local college coaches. Honestly, our players are our best recruiters. Our former players that have had a good experience, and they can go back and tell their teammates, they'll bring one or two teammates back with them. And that's really been a huge success for us, for them to be able to do that. And some of it's been organic as well. The searches, people do searches, where can I play in the summer, or, UWS Kansas City. Well, they'll hit right on our website. So, we've had some players reach out that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
What should fans in the community be excited about or look forward to this summer?
We've got a 4-game home schedule, 3 different venues, both in Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. We've partnered with the Sunflower FC men's team. They're a UPSL team. So we've got 2 doubleheaders with them, which I'm really excited about. It's just a good opportunity to come see, some Pro-Am women's and men's soccer. Our games are free. We've got a good family atmosphere. So those are things that I think that we could look forward to.
Yeah, I think with the NWSL being in Kansas City now too, there's just this pickup of women's soccer and being involved. And I know Wendy's heavily involved in the community, and I've really kind of jumped in as much as I can, though being virtual in a lot of ways. But I'm a coaching instructor, so I've gotten to know a lot of the youth coaches around the area, and honestly, as we were sitting here, Wendy, I got a text about a local girls team that wants to come and meet the players at a game. And so,
Sweet.
that's the stuff that I'm hoping for. So these young girls see this opportunity. Because I know I was like, I could play on the national team or do nothing. Like I didn't see anything other than play college and then be on the women's national team. And I at least had a self-awareness that wasn't going to be an option for me after college. But, I think that's something that I want to make sure we do. To me, that's another bar of success. If we can get the community involved and, grab onto this whole, it's catching fire. Like there is a need and a desire to invest in women's soccer. And for the KC Courage, that means you come out. It's purely that you come out, you support us, you retweet us, you share the stuff, you like what we do and come to the games because it doesn't cost you anything. And that's how you invest in us. And we really appreciate that. And so I think that's some of the excitement for me to meet new people. I'll be honest, that's a little bit selfish, but I think that's one of the benefits to what Wendy's built here is my ability to kind of reach into the community and help out the game and then obviously help the young women that are going to help us out on the field.
Keep building that community because in the end, it's community is what we've got, and that's how we keep building the game that we all love. Absolutely. All right, it's time to get to the hot seat. So Joe backstage during the interview, he puts together some things as we go. These are quick takes. They can be long-winded or they could be really short, sweet, to the point. So let's get started. So Joe's first question: play in the snow or hot temperature?
A hot temperature for me.
Hot temperature.
What is the first thing you do in the off season after soccer is over?
Get depressed.
I was going to say buy a lot more wine. I don't know if that was appropriate.
That's spring season.
That works. That's preseason, mid-season. That's losing streak season. That's anything season right there.
Yeah.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides Kansas City?
Chicago.
New York City.
Do you prefer dawn or dusk?
Dawn.
Dusk.
When people stand up for a standing ovation, are you usually one of the earlier people to stand up or one of the later to stand up?
Totally later.
Later.
Awesome. You've successfully completed the hot seat from Joe's corner.
That was easy. Whew.
Yes.
And for you two, before we sign off this evening and go our ways and get ready for that May 22nd kickoff, I have to ask, soccer is all about community. We've said it many times between us three. What does community mean to you? And Wendy, we'll start with you.
Oh, I think it just means being part of something that's greater than ourselves and being around people that share the same values and interests.
Yeah, I'm all about belonging and the inclusivity of it and bringing people together that look and sound different with different experiences and finding a space that they can feel like they still belong because there's that safety net and vulnerability that we all share and we all invest in one another in a positive way. And that's really where community, I think, builds.
Did we miss anything tonight? Is there anything that we need to add or a question that you need answered?
I'm good. I'm ready to go.
No, we're good.
So you guys could, for all of you who are viewing and watching on Twitter, it's at KC Courage Soccer. It's the same on Instagram. You can search them on Facebook as well for everything KC Courage. Their first game is May 22nd, so be on the lookout for that. I'm excited. I know they're excited. Wendy, Candice, thank you so much for giving us the time this evening to chat.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening for UWS Weekly. You can follow all things UWS and UWS2 on their social media pages and send your questions for future shows as well. Join us Saturday morning for the UWS Kickoff Show powered by Rain Body Fuel at 6 a.m. Pacific as we get you primed for the weekend's UWS matches. So until Saturday, cheers, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.